First contact. Commander Vexlor of the Galactic Hegemony stood on the command deck of the Indomitable, the massive flagship that had led the conquest of 17 star systems in the past decade. His four compound eyes reflected the holographic display showing the newest target, a small blue-green planet on the outer rim of the Orion Arm. Tell me again why this insignificant world requires our attention. Vexlor clicked his mandibles impatiently. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the ambient lighting, polished to perfection as befitting a commander of his stature. High Science Officer Kraltex gestured with 3 of his 6 limbs, manipulating the display. The planet is classified as a Class 12 Death World, Commander. The inhabitants have achieved spacefaring capabilities, despite evolving in an environment that should have rendered complex life impossible. Death World. Vexlor's antennae twitched with mild interest. Define the parameters. Extreme gravitational forces, atmospheric toxicity, constant tectonic instability, aggressive pathogens, extreme temperature variations, and predatory evolutionary pressures, Kraltex enumerated. The dominant species, they call themselves humans, evolved under these conditions. Vexlor chittered, the hegemony equivalent of dismissive laughter. And yet they have no natural armor, no significant strength compared to our warriors, and primitive technology. The classification is clearly exaggerated. Perhaps Kraltex's voice carried a note of caution, but intelligence reports suggest unusual adaptability. The Vrikian collective attempted an exploratory mission to their system last cycle. They did not return. The Vrikians are notorious for incompetence, Vexlor dismissed. What of our own intelligence? The tactical officer, Zixra, stepped forward, her slender form moving with practiced precision. We intercepted a human research vessel near the contested space of Sector 9. The craft has been secured in Bay 4, and the single occupant is being held for interrogation. Vexlor's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Excellent. A living specimen will provide valuable insights before we proceed with the integration process. Integration, Commander? Kraltex questioned. The Galactic Council has not authorized. The Council authorizes what I determine is necessary for the continued expansion of the hegemony. Vexlor interrupted. These humans occupy resource-rich territory, and preliminary scans indicate their world contains substantial deposits of quartzium and neodymium. Their death world will make a fine addition to our empire. The bridge fell silent as officers returned to their stations. Vexlor gazed at the holographic representation of Earth, rotating slowly before him. Another conquest, another species to be subjugated for the greater glory of the hegemony, as it had been for centuries. Commander, Zixra's voice cut through his thoughts. The human prisoner is ready for interrogation. Vexlor rose from his command chair. Let us see what this Death Worlder is made of. The detention level hummed with energy fields and security protocols. 4 hegemony guards, each standing over 8 feet tall with reinforced exoskeletons, flanked the entrance to the interrogation chamber. Inside, restrained to a gravitational suppression field, floated a human female. Dr. Eliza Chen, according to her identification tags, was remarkably calm for a prisoner. Her dark eyes tracked Vexlor's movement as he entered, displaying neither fear nor panic, only curiosity. This alone was unusual. Most species responded to hegemony capture with terror. You understand our language. Vexlor began, surprised when the human responded without assistance from the translation matrix. I'm a xenolinguist, Dr. Chen replied evenly. I've been studying hegemony communication patterns for 3 years. Your phonetic structure is complex, but logical. Vexlor circled the suspended human, noting her frail appearance. No protective exoskeleton, no enhanced musculature, no defensive adaptations visible. Merely soft skin, brittle bones, and limited sensory capabilities. How had such a species survived on a death world? Why were you in contested space, human? He demanded. Research, Chen answered simply. I'm documenting interspecies communication methodologies across the sector. My work is scientific, not military. Your vessel contained scanning equipment capable of penetrating our defensive shields. Standard research equipment. We scan everything. It's how we learn. Vexilor leaned closer, his mandibles inches from her face. You expect me to believe your presence was coincidental? That your government sent a lone researcher into disputed territory without ulterior motives? The human's heart rate remained steady. Another anomaly. Most species showed physiological signs of stress under interrogation. I don't expect you to believe anything, Commander, Chen replied. But it's the truth. I volunteered for this assignment because humans are curious by nature. We seek knowledge, even at personal risk. Curious enough to provoke the Freakian collective. Vexilor probed. A flash of something, recognition, crossed Chen's features. I'm not privy to military encounters. I'm a civilian researcher. Vexilor activated a neural stimulator, designed to cause moderate pain in most sentient species. Chen's muscles tensed, but she made no sound. After 30 seconds, he deactivated the device. Impressive tolerance, he observed, a result of your Death World evolution. Chen took a deep breath before responding. Pain is a survival mechanism. On Earth, we learn to compartmentalize it. Earth, Vexilor repeated the name. Your world's conditions are reportedly hostile by galactic standards. Yet you have no natural defenses. For the first time, Chen smiled. That's where you're wrong, Commander. Our defenses aren't visible like your exoskeleton. Humans adapted differently. Vexilor's antennae twitched with irritation. Explain. We became adaptable, Chen said. When you can't outfight the environment, you learn to outwit it. Our bodies compensate for environmental stressors in ways your scientists wouldn't anticipate. Our brains evolved to solve problems rather than develop thicker shells. Primitive evolutionary strategy. Vexilor dismissed. Physical adaptations provide reliable protection. Until the environment changes, Chen countered. Then adaptability becomes the superior trait. Vexilor activated the neural stimulator again, increasing the intensity. Chen's back arched in pain, but still, she made no sound. After a full minute, he shut it off. Your tolerance is noteworthy, he admitted, but pain is merely one form of persuasion. You will tell us about Earth's defenses, population centers, and resource distribution. Chen's breathing steadied remarkably quickly. I told you, I'm a researcher, not military. Everyone serves a purpose in war, Dr. Chen, Vexilor replied, even unwittingly. He turned to the security officer. Full neural scan. Extract whatever information you can about their planetary defenses. Then begin cellular analysis. I want to understand these Deathworlders' physiological adaptations before we launch the invasion fleet. As Vexilor left the chamber, he heard Chen's voice behind him. Commander, she called, her tone surprisingly conversational. You should know something about humans. We're not just physically adaptable. Vexilor paused at the doorway. Oh, we're at our most dangerous when cornered, Chen said. It's another Deathworld adaptation. When survival is threatened, we become creative. Vexilor chittered dismissively. A psychological tactic, nothing more. Your species will join the others who now serve the hegemony. As the door sealed behind him, Vexilor couldn't shake a peculiar sensation, something humans might call unease. He had conquered 17 systems, subjugated dozens of species. What could one soft-skinned primate possibly do that countless others had failed to accomplish? He would soon discover the answer, and it would change the galactic hegemony forever. The prisoner. Science Officer Kreltex stared at the results on his display, mandibles clicking rapidly in the chitinous equivalent of disbelief. He ran the analysis again, certain there must be an error. The readings remained unchanged. Fascinating, he murmured, adjusting the sensitivity of his compound eyes to better examine the cellular structure displayed on the holographic projection. The human prisoner had been in their custody for 26 standard cycles, and with each passing day, Krelltex found himself more intrigued by Dr. Chen's physiology. The door to the laboratory hissed open as Commander Vexlor entered, his exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh lighting. "Report, Science Officer," Vexlor demanded. "What have you learned about our Dithworlder?" Krelltex gestured to the display with two of his appendages while the others continued inputting commands into the system. "Commander, the human's adaptability exceeds our initial assessments. Observe the cellular regeneration patterns." The holographic display showed a time-lapse of human cells responding to various stimuli: extreme heat, cold, radiation, toxins. Rather than dying as expected, the cells demonstrated remarkable resilience, reorganizing their internal structures to compensate. Their cells contain mitochondria, energy-producing organelles with their own DNA, Krelltex explained. These structures appear to be the remnants of ancient bacteria that formed a symbiotic relationship with their cellular ancestors. It's a form of biological engineering that occurred naturally. Vexlor's antennae twitched impatiently. "Spare me the evolutionary biology lesson. What are the practical implications?" "The human's body constantly adapts to our containment protocols," Krelltex said. "The atmospheric mixture we're using to keep her sedated. Her respiratory system is becoming more efficient at filtering it. The gravitational suppressors. Her musculature is already showing signs of adaptation to the increased pressure." "Impossible," Vexlor clicked. "No species adapts that quickly." "Deathworlders do," came a voice from the back of the laboratory. Both hegemony officers turned to find Dr. Chen awake and alert in her containment field, watching them with those unsettlingly perceptive eyes. "You should be unconscious," Krelltex said, checking the sedation levels on his control panel. "Should be," Chen agreed, her voice steady despite the crushing gravitational field surrounding her. "But humans evolved in a constantly changing environment. Our bodies learn from stressors rather than merely enduring them." Vexlor approached the containment field, studying the human with newfound wariness. "You understand our language even better than before." "Pattern recognition," Chen replied. "Another adaptation. On Earth, recognizing patterns meant survival, whether identifying poisonous plants or predator behaviors." Vexlor turned to Krelltex. "Increase the sedative concentration. Triple the gravitational pressure." As the adjustments were made, Chen's breathing became labored, and her muscles strained against the invisible force pressing down on her. But her eyes remained alert, focused on Vexlor. "Commander," she managed between strained breaths, "have you considered that capturing me might have been a mistake?" "A mistake?" Vexlor chittered. "You're providing valuable research data before our invasion." Chen's lips curved slightly. "Not that kind of mistake. More tactical." A communication alert chimed on Vexlor's personal device. He checked the message, his compound eyes narrowing. "Security breach in Section 7, he read aloud. "How is that possible? We're in deep space." "Should I analyze the breach, Commander?" Krelltex offered. "No. Continue your work here. I'll investigate personally." As Vexlor departed, Krelltex returned to his studies, fascinated by the human's cellular structures. "Your species' adaptability is remarkable," he commented, genuinely curious. "How did you evolve such traits on a single planet?" "Earth isn't just any planet," Chen explained, her voice growing stronger as she adjusted to the increased pressure. "We have deserts where temperatures exceed 50 degrees Celsius during the day and drop below freezing at night, oceans that can crush you with pressure, regions where oxygen levels vary dramatically with altitude, pathogens that mutate constantly. And your species survived these conditions without protective adaptations?" Krelltex asked incredulously. "We developed the most powerful adaptation of all," Chen replied. "Problem-solving intelligence. When you can't physically adapt fast enough, you learn to modify your environment instead." Krelltex considered this. "Yet you remain physically fragile." "By your standards, yes," Chen acknowledged. "But we compensate in other ways. Our endurance, for example. Humans can continue functioning despite extreme fatigue, injury, or stress. A curious evolutionary strategy, Kraltex mused. It served us well, Chen said. There's a reason we're talking right now instead of extinct. The laboratory door hissed open again as Commander Vexlor returned, his posture rigid with tension. Security breach contained, he announced. A malfunction in the environmental control systems. Nothing significant. Curious timing, Chen remarked. Vexlor ignored her comment. What progress on the cellular analysis? Before Kraltex could answer, another alert sounded. This one ship-wide. The overhead lighting flickered momentarily before stabilizing. Power fluctuation in Grid 9, reported a voice over the intercom. Engineering teams dispatched. Vexlor's antennae flattened against his head. 2 malfunctions in one cycle. Check the prisoner's restraints. All secure, Commander, Kraltex confirmed after examining the containment systems. Double the guard rotation, Vexlor ordered. Something doesn't feel right. As if confirming his suspicions, the ship-wide alert sounded again. This time, the message was more urgent. Multiple system failures detected. Security protocols activating in sections 3, 5, and 12. All personnel to emergency stations. Vexlor's compound eyes darted to Chen, who remained calm within her containment field. What do you know about this? I'm a prisoner in your laboratory, Chen replied reasonably. What could I possibly know? Commander, Kraltex interrupted. Her biometric readings are unusual. Explain. Her heart rate is elevated, but her stress hormones remain stable. It's as if she's exerting herself physically while remaining emotionally calm. Vexlor finished. Chen smiled. Or perhaps I'm just adapting. To your containment measures. The ship lurched suddenly, throwing Kraltex against his console. The emergency lighting activated, bathing the laboratory in red. Gravitational stabilizers offline, announced the ship's automated system, switching to backup power. In that moment of transition between power sources, the containment field around Chen flickered, just for a second, but long enough. By the time the backup generators engaged, the field had re-established itself. But Chen was gone. Impossible. Vexlor hissed, his mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. No species could move that quickly during power transition. Commander, Kraltex said quietly, I don't believe it was the speed. Look at the restraints. The physical restraints that had secured Chen's limbs within the containment field were still locked, but empty. Somehow, impossibly, she had slipped free of them without opening the mechanisms. How? Vexlor demanded. Kraltex examined the restraints, his scientific curiosity temporarily overriding his alarm. It appeared she dislocated her joints. Deliberately, then contracted her muscles to reduce limb diameter by approximately 20%. What kind of evolution produces such abilities? Vexlor's voice carried a note of dawning horror. Deathworld evolution, Kraltex replied. As she said, humans don't just endure their environment. They adapt to overcome it. The ship's alert system blared again. Security breach in weapons control. Unauthorized access detected in communications. Navigation systems compromised. One human did all this. Vexlor's antennae trembled with rage and disbelief. Find her. Lock down every section. As Kraltex hurried to comply, he couldn't help but reflect on Chen's words. Humans are at their most dangerous when cornered. It seemed they had cornered a Deathworlder, and now they were experiencing the consequences. The ship shuddered again as more systems failed. Throughout the massive vessel, confusion reigned as security teams searched frantically for a single human female who had seemingly vanished into the labyrinthine structure of the indomitable. And somewhere in the darkness, Dr. Eliza Chen was adapting, surviving, and preparing her next move. The hunt. Commander Vexlor stood in the Indomitable's command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing cascading system failures across the massive flagship. 3 cycles had passed since the humans' escape, and the situation had deteriorated from concerning to critical. Report, he demanded, mandibles clicking furiously. Security Chief Dravkor, a hulking specimen even by hegemony standards, stepped forward. The human continues to evade capture, Commander. We've sealed off 17 sections, deployed motion sensors in all ventilation shafts, and established thermal scanning at every junction point. And yet she remains free, Vexlor observed coldly. She's adapting to our methods, Dravkor admitted reluctantly. When we deployed motion sensors, she began moving only during scheduled maintenance cycles when the sensors reset. When we implemented thermal scanning, she found ways to mask her heat signature. How is one primitive primate outsmarting our entire security division? Vexlor's voice rose dangerously. Science Officer Krelltex, who had been analyzing data at a nearby console, interjected. I believe I can answer that, Commander. The human is utilizing her Death World adaptations in ways we didn't anticipate. Explain. Krelltex gestured to the environmental readings displayed before him. She's deliberately manipulating her body's functions. Look at these thermal readings when we briefly detected her in Section 14. She lowered her core temperature by nearly 3 degrees, enough to confuse our scanners. That's biologically impossible, Dravkor protested. For most species, yes, Krelltex agreed. But humans evolved with something called voluntary hypothermia, the ability to consciously lower body temperature to survive extreme conditions. Their autonomic functions can be partially controlled by their conscious mind. What else is she capable of? Vexlor demanded. Based on my analysis of her cellular structure, she can function without sleep for up to 72 hours, survive on minimal hydration, and dislocate multiple joints without significant damage, Krelltex reported. But more concerning is her apparent ability to learn our systems. As if on cue, the lighting throughout the command center flickered, and several consoles went dark. Power rerouting detected, reported a technician. Communications array compromised. Vexlor slammed a clawed appendage against the nearest surface. How is she accessing our systems? She has no technology, no tools. She doesn't need them, Krelltex explained. The human told me they evolved problem-solving intelligence as their primary adaptation. She's learning our technology by observation and using the ship itself as her tool. A new alert sounded, different from the previous warnings. Communications Officer Zixra's antennae straightened in surprise. Commander, we're receiving a transmission, she reported. Origin: unknown. It's directed specifically to our command frequencies. Put it through, Vexlor ordered, his compound eyes narrowing suspiciously. The holographic display flickered, revealing the image of another human, this one male, wearing what appeared to be a military uniform adorned with insignia Vexlor didn't recognize. This is Fleet Admiral James Hernandez of the Earth Defense Force. The human began without preamble. You are holding Dr. Eliza Chen, a citizen of Earth and protected diplomat under Galactic Treaty 47B. Return her immediately, or face consequences. Vexlor chittered with genuine amusement. You're in no position to make demands, human. Your fleet consists of primitive vessels that our scanners can't even detect in this sector. That's because we don't want to be detected, Hernandez replied calmly. Yet, is this supposed to intimidate me? Vexlor's mandibles clicked rapidly. Your captured operative has caused minor inconveniences, nothing more. Operative? Hernandez's expression showed brief confusion before understanding dawned. Dr. Chen is a xenolinguist, not military. But if you've harmed her, you'll discover what human military personnel are actually capable of. Before Vexlor could respond, the communication panel sparked and went dead. They're jamming our communications, Zixra reported incredulously. How? Our encryption protocols err. Irrelevant, apparently, Vexlor finished grimly. He turned to his tactical officer. Status of the fleet: 5 battle cruisers responding to our distress call, Commander. Estimated arrival: 6 cycles. Good. When reinforcements arrive, we'll... Another alert interrupted him, this one from the engineering section. Commander, came the panicked voice of Chief Engineer Makar. The human has accessed the propulsion systems. She's initiating a core sequence we can't override. Shut it down, Vexlor ordered. We're trying, but she's locked us out using command-level access codes. Vexlor froze. That's impossible. Those codes are known only to senior officers. She's been in the ventilation system above the officers' quarters, Dravkor realized aloud. She could have overheard. From patterns in the keypad tones came a familiar voice from the overhead speakers. Dr. Chen, somehow accessing the ship's internal communication system. Each access code generates a unique frequency sequence. I just needed to hear enough of them to identify the pattern. This is Commander Vexlor, he responded, maintaining his composure despite the growing chaos. Whatever you hope to accomplish, you'll fail. Surrender now, and your death will be quick. I'm not trying to escape, Commander, Chen replied, her voice eerily calm. I'm sending a message. The main view screen activated automatically, displaying a real-time image of space beyond the indomitable. Where there had been empty void moments before, 7 vessels now appeared, sleek, angular craft unlike any hegemony design. Cloaking technology, Kraltex whispered in awe. They were there all along. Primitive, you called us, Chen continued. While you were studying me, I was studying you. Every system, every protocol. Humans adapt, Commander. It's what kept us alive on our death world. You expect me to surrender to inferior forces, Vexlor scoffed. Your ships are a fraction of our size. Size isn't everything, Chen replied. Another lesson from Earth. The smallest organisms often prove the deadliest. As if demonstrating her point, warning klaxons blared throughout the command center. Multiple breaches detected, Dravkor reported. How? Our shields are at maximum. They're using our own dampening field frequency against us, Kraltex realized, analyzing the data streams, creating interference patterns that allow them to phase through our defenses. The holographic tactical display showed multiple human vessels now positioned strategically around the indomitable, like predators surrounding wounded prey. Last chance, Commander. Chen's voice echoed through the command center. Power down your weapon systems and prepare to surrender, Dr. Chen. Vexlor's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. Every instinct honed through decades of military service screamed at him to fight, to destroy these presumptuous mammals who dared challenge the mighty hegemony. Tactical analysis, he demanded. Their weapons are charged but not locked on vital systems, reported the tactical officer. They appear to be targeting our propulsion and weapons arrays specifically, disabling rather than destroying. They want to capture the indomitable, Vexlor realized. For study, just as we intended with the human. On screen, Vexlor ordered, his earlier confidence now tempered by the unexpected effectiveness of the human assault. Admiral Hernandez appeared once more, his expression grim but composed. Commander Vexlor, your reinforcements have been neutralized. Your ship is sustaining increasing damage. I'll offer one final opportunity. Power down your weapon systems and release Dr. Chen. The hegemony does not surrender. Vexlor responded automatically, though he could feel his resolve wavering as the tactical display showed 3 of the 5 hegemony reinforcement vessels now disabled and drifting. This isn't about surrender, Hernandez replied. It's about recognition. You classified Earth as a death world, yet you failed to understand what that means. Species that evolve in constant danger develop differently. We're not stronger than you, not more advanced in conventional terms. We're just adaptable. As if emphasizing his point, a series of synchronized explosions detonated across the Indomitable's outer hull, precision strikes that disabled the remaining weapons emplacements without compromising life support or critical systems. Final weapons array offline, the tactical officer reported, antennae drooping in defeat. We're defenseless, Commander. For the first time in his distinguished career, Vexlor faced total military failure. The hegemony's superior technology, overwhelming firepower, and tactical doctrine, all rendered ineffective by a species they had dismissed as primitive. How? He found himself asking, genuine curiosity replacing his earlier contempt. How did your kind develop such capabilities? Necessity, Hernandez answered simply. On Earth, species either adapt or perish. When your environment constantly tries to kill you, you learn to think differently about survival. The Admiral's image was replaced by a real-time feed showing the human vessels now surrounding the crippled Indomitable, maintaining a defensive perimeter that prevented any possibility of escape. Commander, Kraltex said quietly, I've completed my analysis of their attack pattern. It's remarkable. They identified and exploited 27 different vulnerabilities in our defenses, most of which were theoretical weaknesses our own engineers considered statistically impossible to target. Yet they did, Vexlor acknowledged. The confrontation. The first volley from the Indomitable's primary weapons array should have annihilated the nearest human vessel. Instead, the energy beams passed harmlessly through what Vexlor now realized was a holographic projection. Decoys, he hissed, mandibles clicking furiously. Where are the real ships? The tactical display flickered as the sensor arrays struggled to separate fact from fiction. Suddenly, multiple small craft appeared where there had been empty space moments before. Not the 7 vessels they had initially detected, but dozens of smaller, faster interceptors. They're using some kind of distributed projection technology, Kraltex observed, fascination temporarily overriding his concern, creating false signatures while masking their actual positions. Target the nearest confirmed contacts, Vexlor ordered. Full power to forward shields. The Indomitable's massive frame shuddered as its weapon systems discharged again, this time striking something solid. A small human vessel erupted in a brief flash of energy before dissolving into component particles. Direct hit, reported the tactical officer. But, sir, I'm not detecting organic debris. That craft was unmanned. Before Vexlor could process this information, the Indomitable rocked violently as multiple impacts registered against its hull. Kinetic projectiles. Dravkor shouted in disbelief. They're using physical ammunition. Impossible. Vexlor responded automatically. No advanced civilization would resort to such primitive weapons. Yet the evidence was undeniable as the hull breach alarms sounded throughout the massive vessel. While the hegemony had spent centuries perfecting energy-based weaponry and defensive systems designed to counter them, these humans had apparently continued developing technology the rest of the galaxy had long abandoned as obsolete. Adaptive strategy, Kraltex murmured. They identified our defensive focus and exploited the gap. The ship lurched again as more projectiles found their mark. On the tactical display, the human vessels moved in patterns that defied conventional battle formations, seemingly chaotic yet undeniably effective, creating confusion among the hegemony gunners. Their attack pattern is irrational, complained the weapons officer. No species fights this way. Deathworlders do, came Dr. Chen's voice once more over the communication system. Unpredictability keeps predators off balance. Another Earth lesson. Cut that channel, Vexlor ordered, increasingly agitated by the human psychological warfare. Commander, Zixra interrupted, we're receiving a priority transmission from Hegemony Command. Our reinforcements have engaged human vessels near the Arcturus Junction. Show me. The main view screen shifted to display a tactical feed from the approaching Hegemony fleet. 5 battle cruisers, each nearly as large as the Indomitable, were engaged with what appeared to be relatively small human craft. Yet despite the disparity in size and firepower, the hegemony vessels were clearly struggling. How are they penetrating our shields? Vexlor demanded. Phase-matched frequency harmonics, Kraltex explained, analyzing the incoming data. They're using our own shield emissions to calculate vulnerable frequencies, then modulating their weapons accordingly. That technology should be beyond them, Vexlor insisted, watching as another hegemony vessel reported critical damage. You're still thinking of them as primitives. Chen's voice returned despite efforts to block her access. That's your fundamental error. Humans don't develop technology linearly like most species. We adapt to specific threats, developing solutions that might seem primitive or advanced depending on the context. The Indomitable shuddered again as more kinetic impacts registered against the hull. "Forward shields failing," reported the defensive systems officer. "We're routing power from non-essential systems." "Where are they concentrating their fire?" Vexlor demanded. "That's the problem, Commander," Dravkor responded, mandibles clicking in frustration. "There's no discernible pattern. They're striking seemingly random sections, weapons emplacements, sensor arrays, propulsion systems, even non-critical maintenance hatches." "Not random," Krelltex corrected, studying the impact pattern. "They're creating structural stress points that compound each other. Look at the distribution algorithm." The holographic display shifted to show a three-dimensional model of the Indomitable with impact points highlighted. Individually, each strike caused minimal damage, but collectively, they were creating cascading failures throughout the ship's interconnected systems. "They're not trying to destroy us," Krelltex realized. "They're systematically disabling us." "Sir," the communications officer's voice rose with urgency, "the human fleet is hailing us again."